Latrica Reyes is in her garage with her son Xavier. The post-divorce silence, broken emotions, and inner exhaustion are clearly visible on her face. But she still tries to be strong in front of her son. Xavier is right next to her, practicing the bench press. And his personality has the same innocence and quiet depth that is often found in children who grow up prematurely. He looks like a living image of his mother, the same eye shape, the same facial expression, the same pain masking. Latrica suddenly asks him if he is okay with all this. This question shows the burden of her heart. She wants to know how her fights, her decisions, and the breakdown of her relationships have affected her son. Xavier pauses for a moment as if lost in thought, searching for the right words. Then he says, with the utmost simplicity but terrible truth, that no, he is not well. He explains that seeing the constant fights, the egoism of the adults, and seeing them hurting each other has caused him to become depressed. The wetness and broken dreams in his eyes are evident as he says that he tries to be happy, to be positive, but every time the big guys fight, something inside him breaks. He says he looks up to both his mother and Ken, and their behavior affects him. Sometimes hurting, sometimes confusing, and sometimes feeling like he's a victim of the adults' emotional irresponsibility. As he shows the adults a mirror, he says, "You guys grow up." And this sentence shakes Latrica's soul. The shame, regret, and remorse on Lattershaw's face seem to grow with each wave, as if she is realizing for the first time how much the storms of her life have affected her child's age, her peace, and her mental balance. The scene shifts straight from here and enters the world of Nell Fletcher, who is always busy with some action. Today she climbs a tall ladder to clean a chandelier, while her husband Chris frantically tells her to come down. Neil laughs it off, and that's Neil's personality. She's always engrossed in her tunes, independent and fearless. The conversation turns to Destiny, her attitudes, and the poll in which people decided that Neil isn't too hot. Neil confidently says that she is not a nosy but protective. She has every right to discuss her son's affairs, especially since Destiny was previously dating her son and is now showing interest in her godson, which is, of course, a big drama. Chris and Neil are both surprised and disturbed by Destiny's changing relationships, as it all seems a bit more carefree and unbridled, as if Destiny were treating relationships as a game. Then there's the joke that Destiny isn't becoming anything like Martell, the same style, the same recklessness, and the same attempt to dictate relationships. The camera then pans to Destiny and Twan's meeting. Destiny first talks about hiring him for her events, but moments later the conversation turns romantic. She says that someone mentioned that Tone is interested in her. And then the two exchange the same mischievous glances that make every reality show's imperfect fun complete. Destiny openly says that she dates several people casually, but goes further and admits that she has multiple personalities. Sometimes Louise, sometimes Cynthia, sometimes someone else. Tone laughs. He doesn't mind, because he knows Destiny thrives in chaos. His life is full of chaos, disorder, and emotional turmoil, and perhaps this is his true personality. Cut to Latrica's house, where she finally sits down to talk it all over with Ken. The whole scene feels like a movie scene, quiet, heavy, and full of emotion. This time, Latrocia speaks directly without any twists and turns and asks what the hell Ken wants. Want to stay or intend to go? Ken gives his usual long lecture about how he's not getting respect at home. The kids are away from him, he feels out of place, and that if things don't change, he might leave. He makes therapy a condition. Latrocia breaks down inside but tries to maintain a strong exterior, as she realizes that her children are only trying to save their mother, while Kane is stuck in his own pain and ego. Soon after, the scene cuts to Nell Fletcher's daycare, where Linus and Chris are busy painting. Here comes the hilarious moment when Chris jokes that Neil might be giving Martell money in some special ways. And Neil's nervousness makes it all the more hilarious, while Martell smiles innocently. Martell's words afterwards reveal that he has made a temporary truce with Moral, and now wants Toshea and Yuen to solve their own problems. Latrica visits Dr. Kit Francis. who is known for her candid style and deep analysis. Dr. Francis tells her that healing is essential, or she will not be able to find peace for herself or her son. This breaks Latrica's heart as she realizes for the first time that her inner turmoil has also wounded her child. In the final moments of the episode, each character seems stuck in place destiny in her chaotic life. Nell in her fortitude, Chris in her tolerance, Latrica facing her truths. This episode shows us how fragile these relationships in life are, and how one person's decisions can shake the foundations of an entire household. This episode of Love Honey not only brought drama but also showed truths. Truths that we often ignore but silently leave their mark in every heart. After Dr. Kit Francis left the clinic, Latrica still had that quiet moisture in her eyes, as if she was seeing the hidden pain in her heart put into words for the first time. Standing outside the clinic, holding the door of her car, she wondered for a moment what she had brought her life to. She never thought that in trying to be strong, she would one day end up broken herself. And her broken look would be reflected in her son Xavier's face. It was like she was recognizing for the first time the fact that pretending to be strong in front of children sometimes hurts them inside. She sits in the car, looks at her eyes in the rearview mirror, and tells herself that she really has to heal. Because if she doesn't heal herself, her children will never heal. Meanwhile, on the other side of town, Nell Fletcher is busy preparing for a small but very loving function at his Butucci daycare. Colored papers are hanging on the walls. Children are running somewhere, painting somewhere, and Nell is walking around giving instructions in her distinctive voice. Sometimes taking the brush from a child's hand and showing the correct way. Sometimes explaining to a parent why the school policy had to be changed. She appears to be very strong, very fearless, and very in command. But behind her eyes there is a constant weariness that only people who are always managing other people's lives feel. She herself never stops to see what her own heart desires. Chris arrives moments later, coffee in hand. Kayan tries to change the subject with a laugh as he sees the suppressed exhaustion on Nell's face, but fails. Nell tells her that people keep calling her nosy. She doesn't care because she will protect her family. Her son, her family, whether people like it or not. Chris watches her silently, knowing how many weaknesses this strong woman hides in her heart. Meanwhile, the story of Destiny has started to take a new turn. She stands in front of the mirror in her room, fixes her hair, a small smile on her lips, then disappears. She is not able to decide which direction her life is going after looking at herself from different angles. There are constant notifications on his phone, someone's message, someone's call, someone's invite, but his face has the same confusion that is often seen in people who want stability in life but are not ready to let go of chaos. Then suddenly comes a message from Tone. You ready for tonight? A mischievous smile returns to Destiny's face, and she begins to prepare herself a little more, as if writing a mental note for a new adventure. For Destiny, relationships are like an emotional game. Sometimes win, sometimes lose, sometimes interest, sometimes boredom. She is probably really the same woman who lives inside several personalities, and her heart and mind get lost in the midst of them. Meanwhile, Ken Latrica's husband is sitting with his friends, but his eyes are constantly shifting to his phone. He knows that his words hurt Latrica, but he doesn't even try to apologize out of his ego. His friends advise him that he should devote more time to home, wife, and children, but he always says that if he will not get respect at home, why should he stay? He fails to understand that respect is never earned. It is earned by attitudes. If he wants his son to admire him, he has to become something that children would be proud to see. That night, Nell, Chris, and some close friends gather for a small family dinner. There's banter at the table. Chris brings up Martel in conversation, and Nell immediately gets defensive, like someone sticking a finger in her respect box. Chris laughs and says that people are even saying that Nell may have paid Martel. And Nell's eyes suddenly flash a mixture of anger and embarrassment. She immediately takes Chris to the kitchen and scolds him not to fuel such nonsense. Chris explains to her that people will talk, but that won't change the fact that Nell is a strong woman who only listens to her heart. And that's both her strength and weakness. The next morning, Latrika decided to sit down with her son again and listen to what he had to say. Xavier sat in his room, book open, looking like he was trying to read, but his mind was elsewhere. Latrika slowly opens the door to the room. Xavier gives him a small smile. But it's the kind of smile that children struggle to put on their faces so as not to offend the adults. Latrika sits next to him, holds his hands, and says very gently that she is sorry that he deserved a better environment, but did not get it. Xavier's team, meanwhile, on the other side, Destiny and Tone are sitting outside drinking coffee. Destiny unfolds before him the highs and lows of his life. She explains that people misunderstand her because she lives relationships the way she wants. She listens to her heart, and if she ever has a change of heart, she accepts it. Tone tells her that no matter what people think, he accepts her as she is. But Destiny doesn't fully accept that notion. She knows that no man in her life lasts long, perhaps because she runs away from stability herself. Meanwhile, Latrika, thinking of Dr. Francis' words, books her first therapy session. She has decided that she will not drag herself anymore. He has to heal, even if it takes time, even if the path is difficult. She wants to fill the cracks in her home, secure her son's future, and maybe even see if Kane really stands by her or is just pretending. The episode gets even deeper, to the point where each character seems to be wandering in their own inner jungle. Nell wants to save her family, but her strict behavior is causing distance. Destiny wants to save her freedom, but is also getting injured by her chaotic life. Latrika wants to mend the brokenness of her life, but doesn't know where to start. And Ken? He probably still doesn't understand what home is, where you don't ask for respect. You earn it. ARs slowly begin to fall, but he immediately tries to wipe them away, as if he's ashamed to even cry. Mother and son look at each other, both silent, both hurt, both tired. This episode of Love Honey takes a look inside people's lives to show that those who appear to be strong are often the weakest on the inside. Every relationship, every decision, every word creates a new wave. Sometimes sweeps everything away, sometimes sinks everything, and sometimes rebuilds everything.